I'm a 30-year-old woman who does not have children. Gasp.
Why are child-free by choice people constantly making videos bragging about all the freedom they have? And then why are all the parents always crying in the comments? Everybody needs to calm down.
Millennial parents and millennials in general cannot afford to have children.
Hi, my name's Emma. I am one of 11, and I'm going to explain why I think this take is wrong.
The majority of child-free people are literally just sharing their lives. For whatever reason, a lot of parents seem to really dislike that.
You hit 40, you're gonna want kids.
First of all, how you gonna sit here and tell me what I do or do not want? How you gonna tell women as a whole demographic what we do and do not want? You don't know us?
Let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into it. We are talking about people who choose to be child-free versus people who are parents of children, I guess, and about how both sides are seemingly passionate about their sides and sometimes like come at odds, and I just feel like it just doesn't make any sense. I feel like it's just weird that we feel the need to debate and question the reasoning of people who want to be child-free. I more so just need this for my own sanity to just talk out all of the reasons why it would make sense as to why a person would want to convince another person into having their own human being that they like originally do not want. The heck? Why is there a debate period whenever somebody says, oh yeah, I don't want children? I understand, like, if you're young, maybe you're gonna change your mind. I understand there are people who are legitimately scared of becoming parents and probably just need some validation. Like if they're seeking validation, like, I don't know if I want children. I feel like I might inflict some generational trauma onto them. Like there are some people who legitimately, I mean, this is not to discredit or like invalidate anybody who truly means that. But like there are some people who truly like would like to be persuaded that they're going to be good parents out of the fear of being bad parents. But ultimately, I find, because I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, that whenever somebody on TikTok, and I truly do feel like TikTok mimics real life. Sometimes it can be a glamorization of real life topics, and sometimes it can be like a demonization, an exaggeration of like real life things. But for the most part, I find that people have real views on there. It's a reflection of real life. As a 24-year-old, and like I said, young people, whenever they say they would like to be child-free, I understand like it like takes a minute. It takes a minute to feel like, okay, I don't really know what I want in life. Like maybe I want to be child-free, maybe I don't. As somebody who does want kids, who is very empathetic to the child-free side, I just like got into realizing like what it takes to take care of me and my husband. And that, that is incredibly mentally, emotionally, physically a lot already. 50 years ago, my parents' generation, it was just normal to just pop out children by the time you're 22. I just find it like just incredibly weird that that's the default. Was just like, well, we don't really know what we're gonna do with our lives, but let's just become parents because that's like that's what you do. Just to point out the obvious, women for years have been told like it's just in your maternal instincts to want to be a mom. You should want to be a mom because it's going to be the most fulfilling, greatest joy of your life. You should want to parent a child because if you die childless, your life will be worth absolutely nothing. And I fully see why we've been brainwashed into the idea that having a child is the default, because that is the default for so many people's stories. It's a societal norm to be pro-children. You know what I mean? Pro-parent. I, however, find it incredibly exciting and refreshing when women who do not have children, who have known that they didn't want to have children, who are like a little bit older, and I say older as in like 30s and up, who have decided not to have children, speak on their experience. I find it very refreshing when people who don't have kids speak on not having kids, the reasons for not having kids, what they do with their day, like just anything as it relates to background as to not wanting that. Just because it's like we've seen reasons why people want to have children, and like for the most part it just is inherently selfish. As somebody who wants children one day, I kind of want children. I want to put my love and care and affection into something that will love me back. Like I'm selfish for that, but I find it inherently caring that you could be somebody who knows yourself so well, just be like, I don't have it in me to bring a child into this world. And I want to hear you speak. I want to hear you speak on it because you're going against the grain. And it's probably very difficult to do that. Personally, as much as I feel like I am going to be inherently selfish in bringing a child into this world, especially in the state of the world we're in, oh my God. we're bringing children into dumpster fires. Like, our children's futures are gonna be hard. I would like to say that I'm gonna try my hardest. Like, I'm gonna try so hard to make sure that I raise a caring, loving person who does good in the world, right? I so respect when people just straight up admit, like, I don't got it. I don't have it in me to care after a human being, and I don't have it in me to watch that human being grow. So I'm just gonna say it's not me. I'm gonna be child free. Hats off to you. And I will say this is obviously going to be more towards women, because when men don't want to have children, it's not shocking, even when they have children. Along with, like, me just stating all of that, I do want to say it is incredibly interesting when there's discourse around people who state that they want to be child free and people who kind of like combat that idea. Because it's like, why is there any sort of debate? Why is there any sort of combat on that at all? There was recently a TikTok that came out with this person who was just stating it's extremely expensive to have a child right now. Millennial parents can't afford having children. I think a millennial. And then there was this disagreeer, a Gen Z girl named Emma, who just like started off reacting to the girl who posted the TikTok, saying, you know what? I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree.
Millennial parents and millennials in general cannot afford to have children.
Hi, my name's Emma. I am one of 11. So I have 10 siblings. We live in Southern California, so one of the most expensive regions and one of the most expensive states. And I'm going to explain why I think this take is wrong, and honestly this whole mindset that really permeates our society that makes people think they can't have kids when really they can. Honestly, a lot of life decisions are, like big life decisions, are just based on priorities. So whether that's your career or how many children you have or where you live, and I guess I'm mostly talking to people who live in middle class and just growing up in poverty and raising children like when you're under the poverty line and all that. That's a whole different situation, conversation that I'm not touching on. And then the on average $100,000 for childcare is interesting to me because, like I said, that's just a priority. Like, my mom has always been a stay-at-home mom, and that's not a privilege. Like, that's it, like, that's something my dad and my mom decided, and my dad had to work harder. There's a lot more that goes into it than just slapping a number on it and saying you can't have kids. This video is just not honest. You only need childcare if you're prioritizing your career, and then that's just a priority. You don't even have to be, one of you does not have to be working if you really didn't want to, because based on your priorities you could downsize and all that. Like, it's just all based on priorities. If my family can do it, you can do it. We never were super struggling, so it's like, it depends on where you decide to spend your money and how you decide to spend your money.
The reason that she disagreed is because she comes from a family of 11. And she says she comes from a middle-class household in a family of 11. And she says, if my parents can do it, you can too, basically. Like, you can make, life's all about choices. So if you want to make the choices to, like, buy Starbucks every single day or have a child, that's on you, which is crazy.
I just want to say, I know that there are a lot of people that would agree with Emma and be like, well, life is about your choices. As somebody who does not have any children, the same as Emma, I will not understand what it takes to raise a child in this economy. And she also lives with her parents, so I don't know how she can talk about economic choices at the age of 22. As a 24-year-old, I cannot speak for a parent about what it's like to parent children and to have money in this economy. So I just think the audacity is crazy, because she could not relate and she can't wrap her head around what parents have to sacrifice, and she's talking about choices. Are you kidding?
Like, she basically was just debating the fact that, like, childcare isn't as expensive, and if you don't want to do childcare, your parents can become a stay-at-home mom. My mom is a stay-at-home mom. Essentially just kind of leaving out, like, all of the real life struggles that middle-class parents actually go through. The reason that she was disagreeing was basically to say, I've had a good experience being raised in a large family, and my parents are middle class and my mom's a stay-at-home mom, so everybody else is lying, because the way that I grew up, it was, like, perfectly fine for me. Y'all, like, I'm not talking about y'all in poverty, I'm talking about people who are like me. Having children isn't expensive. Stop spending money on Starbucks and have all the children that you want, because that's what my parents did. So if my parents can do it, you can. That's basically it. Like, I feel a disgust towards people who have a very selfish reason to disagree with people who just simply state things that can be well backed up with like research and facts and like people with legitimate economic degrees. I find it really weird that like this non-professional, childless 22-year-old who's currently in community college wants to disagree based off of the benefits that she's received in her life. There are so many people that go through things that are in middle class, that take them out of middle class, that put them into poverty in the blink of an eye. And it could be due to sickness. It could be due to, I don't know, like unforeseen circumstances. It could be due to actually anything. So basically, I find it weird that she felt the need to disagree and then to make that known and to say basically these are my credibilities. So whatever you take from this, just know you're good to have children. As a 24-year-old, like I'd never want to discredit somebody simply based off their age, because I find that people talk down to Gen Z and people treat us like we know absolutely nothing. But I just want to say, Emma, you probably know like little to absolutely nothing. Oh my God. I just want to know, like, what is the drive behind when somebody, a woman, states, I don't want to have children, or having children is expensive in this economy. I don't want to bring life into this world. And then people like combating that with just their own experiences, their own feelings, and just persuading people into children. What the heck is behind that? I think I would have got it if I was younger and didn't realize the power of autonomy. But now that I'm an adult who fully uses my realized autonomy, I just do not understand why there are some people talking people into children. If anything, I'd rather talk somebody who's on the fence about having a child out of having a child. Honestly, like, I just feel like
And I do realize there are a lot of parents that just want other people to experience the joy of children, but let's experience the joy of not bringing a child into a slowly decaying planet. And also the idea that you just wouldn't have a responsibility that you just wouldn't want and then have to cope with, like learning how to be a good parent, is just ridiculous. There are a lot more people that I can think of that should not be parents than people that should be parents, in my opinion, when they do not want kids.
Most of these people aren't even necessarily on the fence whenever they state that they want to be child free. Most of these people are just simply stating opinions based in their own like interest of just not bringing life into this world. And then there are people being like, you know what, you should want this. It's natural for you to want this. There was even a grandma, or I don't even know if she's a grandma, but whatever, she seems like it. There was even this random person going on about how it's like natural for us, it's like biology for us to want to be wives, homemakers, and moms.
You were created to be a wife, a mother, and a homemaker. I'm going to give you a little biology lesson.
And sure, whatever, it can be natural for us to become mothers, but it's also like, duh, like, because there is a difference between it's natural for you to want this thing and it should be your goal in life. You know what I mean? And I find it really weird because it's like most of the time when people just talk about the family starters, that's what I'm just gonna call them, just pro family starters. It's mainly people who just like bring up the most basic, most well-known reasons as to why people already have children. It's like, you're not saying anything new. What I'm saying is new. You're just trying to like brainwash me into this thing that you want for me. But why do you want this thing for me? Anytime somebody says, I don't want kids, and then you respond, this is why you should, can y'all sort that out and stop? This is from somebody who wants children. Like, I want children. I could not imagine telling, at this age, I probably maybe like when I was younger, maybe was like, well, you should, maybe, because I grew up in a Christian household, where that was probably like really normal talk. But like as an adult, I can't imagine like trying to persuade somebody into like bringing life into this world when it's like, just let child-free people be satisfied with being child-free and recognizing that the state of the world is extremely expensive to live in. Climate is probably only going downhill from here, and it's inherently selfish to want to bring a child into the world. I'm saying that as somebody who wants children. I am selfish for that. Whether or not I end up wanting to be child-free, or I want to have children, no one can persuade me into either. And I hope you don't try to persuade people into either as well. Whether or not you do want children or don't want children, you should feel supported in both, but you should not feel persuaded into either.